Welcome people, this is my series on lost media, dealing with rap, where I discuss media in rap that no longer exists, is missing, or is no longer available to the general public. This also includes things that are incredibly hard to find and other things of that nature, but like I said in the first volume, lost media is an umbrella term which by definition is a word or phrase that covers a wide range of concepts belonging to a common category. I just want to jump right into this thing, so before I get more into the video, I would first like to thank you guys for coming to see this. If you like the content, you should like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Also, follow my Instagram too, that would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and just show me some love, it's all good. Comment down below some lost hip hop media that you would like me to discuss in upcoming volumes. This is Tupac's second time appearing in this series, with this entry being a very interesting topic to say the least. The story behind this is that Angie Martinez, who's a very notable interviewer, especially in the hip hop space, interviewed Tupac in 1996, months before his untimely passing. She would fly to the West Coast by herself to do the interview at Tupac's place. The full interview would be around 2 hours long, and Angie would only air 12 minutes of this interview due to fear of it adding to the East Coast West Coast feud that was going on at the time. You can hear almost 7 minutes of this interview right now on YouTube. Upon listening to it, you can kind of tell that Tupac is on one for at least the first part of the clip and cooled off when he was talking about his ex-wife at the end. Angie felt like the part of the interview that she released to the public was the best piece of the interview that wouldn't cause more problems. While speaking about the interview, Angie would say, "I was scared to air this interview and I didn't want to be responsible for making it worse. And the truth is that I made that decision and I'm proud of that after all these years. I think about the tragedy that happened to both Tupac and Biggie, like what if I had put that out? I would have forever wondered if I had contributed in any way to what happened, even though it may not have. Ultimately it happened anyway, but I know that I did what I could do to not contribute to it. That gave me strength. That helped me to draw my lines in terms of who I am as a personality." Napoleon, who was a member of Tupac's group The Outlaws while also being a close friend of Tupac, was present during this interview. He feels like Angie not releasing this interview back in the day was a very wise decision due to the chaos that it could have caused, especially with her essentially sitting on a gold mine of an interview. The East Coast West Coast feud was alive and on, and Tupac was fresh out of jail. Now there's a ton of speculation on exactly what Tupac said to not have the interview be released. According to Napoleon, Tupac was coming after everybody and dropping names. Diddy, Andre Harrell, and Biggie are some of the names that he talked about. Diddy and Biggie were also not big fans of Angie interviewing Tupac at this time. Napoleon described the interview as Tupac's infamous diss track Hit 'Em Up, but in interview form. Not only was Tupac naming names, but Napoleon also said that he was threatening people, which could have landed him back in prison. There are all sorts of different rumors about what Pac allegedly said, but Napoleon was there during this interview. I can only imagine how the rest of the interview is due to what we got being considered light by Angie Martinez. She's been sitting on this interview for years, and the crazy thing is that this interview could have very well been lost forever if an accident occurred. While Angie Martinez was at a meeting with Roc Nation, Jazzy asked her about her archives of her old interviews. Previous to this, Angie literally stored her old interviews in a box in her laundry room. Jay-Z demanded Angie to take the box out of her laundry room as soon as possible in case of a fire or flood. Luckily, the interview never got damaged and Angie ended up digitizing the tapes, which some of her co-workers helped her out with. This means that multiple people have heard this interview. Now, Angie has long talked about releasing this interview. She's still hesitant about releasing it, but in multiple interviews throughout the years, she has said that at some point she will. It's nearly been 30 years since the interview was conducted. While doing research, I did come across some interesting information. Gene Deal, who is Diddy's former bodyguard, would talk about this interview in an interview with The Art of Dialogue. Gene would say that Diddy heard the interview back in the day, way before it was digitized. He would further say that it wasn't her idea to not put out the interview because she didn't own the interview. This is because she works for Hot 97, which is a radio station in New York. Gene also notes that Diddy had a lot of pull at this time, and even now, especially with Hot 97, with him mentioning that Diddy was responsible for getting Wendy Williams fired from there. This is a story that has been corroborated by multiple people, but I believe that this happened after the Tupac interview. He got the hottest lady on the radio, off the radio, with the phone call, according to Gene Deal. But like I said, Gene would say that Diddy would hear the interview back in the day. Gene raised the question of, do you think that Hot 97 would deny Diddy if he wanted to hear the interview? About the Wendy Williams thing, Gene would say that Diddy told Hot 97 that if they didn't have her gone by the time that he came back to New York while he was away, none of his artists or his friends' artists would do business with them. This is the type of stuff that makes you really think. In conclusion, we know that the Tupac interview exists, but time will tell if the interview will ever come out. It just sucks because I know a lot of people, including me, want to hear this interview. It's been nearly 30 years and it is a part of rap history. That interview is priceless. This is classified as lost media due to the interview not being available to the general public, even though we know that it exists. Put It on the Streets is regarded as one of the rarest Lil Wayne songs in existence, so rare to the point that many would consider it to be lost due to years of searching but no luck in finding the song. You can easily look up the lyrics to the song online and it appears that the song was short, containing an interlude and verse from Lil Wayne. The album that the song Put It on the Streets was listed on was the Lights Out album that released in December of 2000. In 2013, there was a blogger that was based out of Sri Lanka who put up Lights Out for download online. Based on the track list, the download had Put It on the Streets as track number 14. Shout out to Martian Master from the Lil Wayne HQ forum because he made a post about this song and went to some lengths to get information about it. He would reach out to this blogger from Sri Lanka on Facebook, Instagram, and Google+, but didn't get a response for a while. Finally, Martian Master found the blogger's work email and he would reach out to them. The blogger would finally reply and tell Martian that his blogging days were in the past and he didn't think that he still had the music, but he would look for it. The song was available for download for a small period of time in 2013. In 2017, someone tried to buy a foreign copy of Lights Out, but it didn't have the song potentially due to only early pressings of the album having it. One day while scrolling on eBay, Martian Master would come across an official Cash Money shirt for Lights Out. Martian would state that this wasn't a vintage piece due to the copyright info on the listing. On the back of the shirt, it had a track listing for the album and Put It on the Streets was listed as track number 9. This was in place of the skit that is on the current versions of the album. Due to this listing, Martian assumes that Cash Money still has this song in their official album listing in their database. He also developed a new theory of what could have happened to the song. Martian explained that this could have been exactly like what happened with the song Playing with Fire, which appeared on early pressings of the Carter 3. Due to a lawsuit, the track Playing with Fire was removed from the Carter 3 and was replaced by the song Monster. With Lil Wayne not being as big back in 2000 and the internet being a lot smaller, it would make sense that the removal of the track Put It on the Streets went relatively unnoticed. Martian would also reach out to the engineer for the album Lights Out and he didn't remember the song but told him that there were multiple scrap songs from Lights Out that were vaulted at Universal, which Cash Money is under. Places online have the song Put It on the Streets as track 7 or 9 on the album, which is different than the Sri Lankan blogger who had it as number 14. If we're going off what the engineer said, this song could very well be vaulted and we could very well possibly never hear this song in its entirety. This is something that I found on the Lost Media Wiki, and it's something that I've been eyeing to talk about in this series. This is mainly because the ending of the song scared me as a kid when I heard it. The song A Nightmare on My Street was the third single released from DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince's album He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. The single would peak at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song would be a parody of the A Nightmare on Elm Street film franchise. A music video was produced for the song, which ended up in a lawsuit. Due to New Line Cinema being the copyright holders of the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, they never gave DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince the authorization to use the Freddy Krueger character in the music video. Because of this, New Line Cinema would file a lawsuit against them, claiming that the success of the song and video would do irreparable damage because the Fat Boys would do a song called Are You Ready for Freddy, which was authorized and heavily endorsed by New Line Cinema. This song would be a single for their album Coming Back Hard Again and would be the theme song for the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, which was released in 1988. A Nightmare on My Street ended up being a song that was way more popular than the Fat Boy song, which did have permission, so in a way, it's understandable why New Line Cinema did this. DJ Jazzy Jeff would say this: "Both of the songs came out at the same time, and now you got all these radio stations around the country doing contests like what Nightmare song do you like the best? And what happened is we started beating the Fat Boys in the contest in A Nightmare on Elm Street's production company. New Line Cinema was backing the Fat Boys. And before we got into the lawsuit, we were trying to tell them, yo, why don't we put the music in the movie, or why don't we kind of say that this is another instead of you suing us? Like you're actually gonna hurt it, this is helping your movie." The lawsuit ended up being settled out of court, and as a result of this, the vinyl release of He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper contained a sticker that said, "This song is not part of the soundtrack and is not authorized, licensed, or affiliated with the Nightmare on Elm Street films." In addition to this, New Line Cinema actually offered DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith film roles, which they declined. I've read that as part of the lawsuit settlement, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were to be offered 2 or 3 movie scripts that they could turn down. Will and Jeff agreed to the deal because they thought that they would just have to reject the scripts. According to DJ Jazzy Jeff, the first script presented to them was the movie House Party. DJ Jazzy Jeff would further say, "The first script was House Party because if you think about the premise of House Party, one dude was a DJ and the other one was a rapper. So House Party was set up for Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. We weren't thinking about doing movies back then. They were like, what do you think about this? And we were like, oh, we don't like it. And what about this? Oh, we don't like it. Ha, we out." Reginald Hudlin, who directed House Party, would do an interview and pretty much told the same story. He noted that he felt a bit uneasy about approaching DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince because he knew that if they signed on to do the film, they would only be doing so because of the lawsuit. He would still reach out to them, but the duo would turn down the movie. This has been disputed by Play of Kid and Play, who went on to star in House Party as part of Kid and Play. Play would say that the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff were offered the movie House Party by New Line Cinema executives, not because of the lawsuit. He would say that it was the lawsuit that prompted the two to reject the movie. It kind of depends on who you ask what happened, but I've also read that allegedly as a result of the lawsuit, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince could work off the settlement money by appearing in New Line films, which theoretically allowed them to get away with not having to pay out of pocket over the lawsuit. But back to the Lost Media Wiki article, and it says that another result of the lawsuit would be that all known copies of the music video would be destroyed. Due to it being unknown if the music video was ever actually broadcast, there was a chance that the footage was lost forever. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince both had copies of the music video after the lawsuit. DJ Jazzy Jeff had a copy that he gave to an old girlfriend, and she taped soap operas over it. The Fresh Prince also had a copy of the music video that he gave to his dad, and his dad lost the tape. Due to both of them not having copies of the music video anymore and few people ever seeing it, the story for the search of this music video could have ended there. 30 years after the release of A Nightmare on My Street, a music video for the song was uploaded by Nancy Thompson on YouTube. The video appeared to be a VCR recording of the original music video from when it originally aired. It's noted that the quality of the footage has degraded over time, suffering from tracking issues, color grading errors, and other artifacts, along with the portion of a Growing Pains episode accidentally taped over a few seconds of footage. A month after this, in November of 2018, the official DJ Jazzy Jeff Vivo YouTube channel uploaded a cleaner version of the video, presumably taken from the original master videotape. So the status of this piece of media has now been found, and you can watch the music video in its entirety on YouTube. Shaq is widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I've mentioned him on this series before when I mentioned his former teammate Kobe's Found Rap album, RIP Kobe. But just like Kobe, Shaq tried his hand in rap, but it would be before Kobe. In 1993, Shaq would release his debut album Shaq Diesel in October of that year. The album peaked at number 25 on the Billboard 200 and spawned 3 successful singles. The song I Know I Got Skills would end up peaking at number 35 on the Billboard Hot 100. What's Up Doc, Can We Rock ended up peaking at number 39 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the single I'm Outstanding would peak at number 47 on the Billboard Hot 100. Less than a year after its release, the album Shaq Diesel went platinum in March of 1994. This would end up being his biggest album, with his sophomore album Shaq Fu The Return not doing as great, but still managing to go gold months after its release. While Shaq would have a platinum and gold album by 1995, his music wasn't getting the best reviews, and the reviews really wouldn't get better over time. Shaq would end up releasing his third album, You Can't Stop the Rain, in November of 1996 under Interscope, with him previously being on Jive Records. Shaq would follow this up by dropping what is now his last album to date, which is Respect, which he released in September of 1998. After the Respect album, Shaq would take a break from music for a few years. At the turn of the millennium, Shaq began building anticipation for a new album that he was working on. He would tell the Source magazine that the album was going to be revolutionary and that he wanted to bring together all genres. He really wanted to challenge himself on all levels as an MC, writer, and producer with this project. The new album would be called Shaquille O'Neal Presents His Superfriends. The reason behind this title is that Shaq wanted to feature his Superfriends on the album, with artists set to appear such as Black Thought, Questlove, 112, Ludacris, Nate Dogg, Common, Mos Def, Trina, George Clinton, Snoop Dogg, and many more. During the making of this album, Shaq was also trying to get the likes of Pink and Limp Bizkit, in which they didn't appear on the album. Speaking on his upcoming album at the time, Shaq would explain, "When I decided to record this album, I wanted to make it a collaboration of various styles of rap and voices of thought. I wanted to include talented artists, both mainstream and underground. I wanted to celebrate the essence and energy of rap that is created by people from different walks of life. I like the mainstream MCs with their jiggy style and the underground MCs who speak conscious rap." With this album, Shaq really wanted to show people that he was way more than a basketball player. He wanted to explore every part of his life and pursue all of his desires. Shaq would also no longer be with Interscope Records and would be releasing this album through Trauma Records' joint venture with Shaq's own imprint label. Shaquille O'Neal Presents His Superfriends Volume 1 was originally set to release on 9/11 in 2001, but it was pushed back until October of that year. The only official single that was released and got a music video was the song Connected, which featured Dub C and Nate Dogg. Promotional singles were given out to music critics to help build up the hype for the project. Some critics cited that the music itself was ambitious and impressive, but considered Shaq's rapping to be mediocre. October of 2001 then came about, and the album didn't release and got shelved for unknown reasons. So Unreleased the album became, and a lot of the songs that were slated for the album ended up getting leaked. You can easily hear 53 minutes of the album on YouTube. However, according to the Lost Media Wiki, some of the tracks are unattainable and will probably never see an official release. release. There is one reviewer who got the chance to listen to the entire album and gave it a 4 out of 5 star rating, saying that the album was surprisingly impressive. It's noted that this critic has been forbidden to leak any of it, and bootlegs of the album are not known to exist. The last thing that the Lost Media Wiki says is that in 2017, a promotional copy of the album simply titled Shaq was sold on Discogs for $999 US. This copy contained a slightly different track lineup to the final album, but still included many of the previously unreleased songs. The full promo of the album, containing 14 songs, was leaked in 2021 and can now be easily found online, as I mentioned earlier. Previously, before that leak, a 6-minute video containing short samples of all the songs had been uploaded to YouTube by a user named K-Dub. So now you might be wondering what songs are lost or went unreleased. Some people may know that in 2001, Shaq performed a rendition of the classic Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock's platinum 1988 hit It Takes Two at the Los Angeles Lakers back-to-back championship victory parade in front of the at the time Los Angeles Staples Center. The song was scheduled to be a part of the album, but according to the track listing on multiple different sources, the track ended up being cut from the final version of the project. Other tracks that got cut from the final version are I Don't Give an F featuring The Lady of Rage and You to Be Lying featuring Peter Guns. There are songs that made the final track list that are lost and or unreleased. There are 2 songs that really stuck out to me, which one of them being That's Me, which allegedly was produced and featured Dr. Dre. The other song is Atomic Dog, which featured Snoop Dogg and George Clinton. There are a couple more songs, but those are the most notable, at least for this video. In conclusion, this album is partially lost, and it's unclear if we'll ever hear the full album in its entirety. This is Eminem's second entry into the series, with his first being when I talked about the lost version of Eminem's song Stan in Volume 3. But this is another entry that I got from the Lost Media Wiki. The story behind this is that in 2003, Eminem had his sights on video games. He already had a very successful rap career and an award-winning movie under his belt, with that being 8 Mile, which was released the previous year. Eminem had inked a deal with Conspiracy Entertainment, which was a third-party developer video game publisher. They published games from smaller companies that would face difficulties distributing games themselves. The company would secure the rights to publish interactive properties across multiple platforms featuring Eminem. The first title under this belt that was supposed to release was a video game called MTV Presents Eminem. This was set to be the first game in a line of fan appreciation titles that Conspiracy Entertainment planned to do under the MTV brand. The company wanted to position this brand as a fan appreciation product. The game features 4 music videos, including the song My Name Is and The Real Slim Shady, as well as bonus features and interactive elements featuring Eminem. Conspiracy Entertainment planned to ship both a teen-rated version of the game, which would have radio edit versions of the songs, and a mature rated version with the uncut material. 1 or 2 people could play MTV Presents Eminem, either doing the co-op or competitive mode. The objective of the game was to unscramble puzzles formed from the game's 4 videos before the song concludes. There were 6 different types of puzzle modes in the game, including a memory match mode and sliding puzzles mode. The game was scheduled to ship in the early summer of 2003 on the PlayStation 1 and PC for $14.99 or less. MTV Presents Eminem was expected to be the first game in a new brand of titles using proprietary technology that scrambles full motion video into various puzzles. In addition to this game, Conspiracy Entertainment collaborated with Eminem on ideas for the first next generation video game under the deal. One of the ideas for this next game was to possibly turn the Slim Shady Show animated cartoon into a 3D action video game in time for a release in late 2004. The MTV Presents Eminem game was expected to debut in May of 2003 at E3 in Los Angeles. For those who don't know what E3 is, it's the largest gaming expo of the year and a chance for the biggest names in gaming to show off their new consoles and games and to set the bar for the rest of the industry. So this was the time to show off the game game, but this never happened to my knowledge. Trouble would arise because 2 months after E3, in July of 2003, Eminem would be accused by Conspiracy Entertainment of bailing on their video game deal. The company claimed that Eminem signed a deal with them in February of 2003, and they believed that Eminem's representatives pulled out of this deal to work with a bigger company. Conspiracy would ask for $5 million in damages. We were not aware of any problems until we started getting some press on our new product. Then we started hearing rumors about Eminem negotiating a better deal with Rockstar Games or some other big video game publisher. Apparently our deal must have been in the way because there was no other reason for Bravado and Cousins to stop us from introducing a video game that was approved before the contract ever got signed. Cousins refers to Cousins Entertainment, which was Eminem's management company, and Bravado being Bravado International Group, which was Eminem's licensing agent. I'm unsure of what was the result of this lawsuit, but because of everything that went on, the game never came out, and according to the Lost Media Wiki, the game is lost. Not really a surprise, but honestly, if I'm being real, the game sounds like absolute trash and sounds really boring to me, so in my opinion, it might be a good thing that it never came out when it was supposed to, but in 2023, it would still be interesting to see what the game could have looked like and what the future Eminem games could have been. However, this segment doesn't end here because there is another fully lost Eminem game, but this time it's an iPhone game. In 2009, Eminem would release the album Relapse. This was a big deal because this would serve as Eminem's return to original material since his 2004 album Encore. Relapse was released in May of 2009, and right before the album's release, Eminem would announce the game on his Twitter and post a screenshot of the album on his Twitter, which went on to be titled Relapse Resistance. This was supposed to come out the same month as the album release. Some information about this game is that it was set to be priced at $2.99 upon release. The game was developed by DS Media Labs, who according to their LinkedIn profile are a global leader in mobile strategy, design, and development. It was done by DS Media Labs in conjunction with Shady Games. I found a Facebook post that DS Media Labs made about the game in 2009. They would state that in Relapse Resistance, you assume the role of Eminem as he fights his way out of, I think it's Popsum Hills, the rehab center that he was remanded to. Insane patients, orderlies, and nurses will stop at nothing to see that Eminem never makes it out alive. Use the weapons at your disposal to keep the mobs back. Use your fist, pistol, or machine gun to fight off the waves of enemies. There is actual gameplay online of the game. I searched on YouTube and I came across 2 videos. One of the videos is from a YouTuber named Touch Them Apples, who posted a review of the game in late June of 2009. He gave the game a 7 out of 10 and also said that it was 99 cents in the description. Also in the description, the YouTuber thanked a guy named Matt from DS Media Labs for sending him a promo code to play the game. From what I've seen, the game was available on the App Store for a little while before it was taken off. People attribute this to how violent the game was, and people would have been surprised if the game got through Apple's approval process. It should also be noted that around this time, 9 Inch Nails were having problems with Apple as well because of their app. To fill you in a little bit, 9 Inch Nails had an app, but in May of 2009, Apple refused to approve the 9 Inch Nails' latest iPhone app update. The reason why is because according to Apple, the update contained objectionable content. This objectionable content that they were referring to was their 1994 album, The Downward Spiral. People have classified Relapse Resistance as fully lost. And just like that, we come to the end of the video today. All in all, let me know what you guys thought of the video. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.